So spring is definitely here in northern New South Wales, Australia, and I've been out exploring the garden and I've come across this magnificent popcorn senna. So not only does it have these beautiful yellow flowers, but it's a really useful species in your food forest. So the popcorn senna fixes nitrogen, and not only that, once I took a closer look, I think in this flower here I can see several lady beetles, and there's also lots of different bees flying around as well. So they attract beneficial insects to your garden, and they love a good hack back. So once the wet season starts, I'll prune all this back, and that will provide some much needed mulch and nutrients for the target species, which are my fruit trees, which are around the popcorn senna. So they're really useful too. Once you're getting a food forest established, you can plant a few of these around your fruit trees and they'll provide shade and shelter. And these have survived just a light frost as well, so they're great just to provide a little bit of extra protection whilst your trees are getting established. So I'm going to collect some seed now, and I'm going to show you how to propagate this from seed. So here we go over here. Here's some here. You can hear the rattle, so that means the seeds are nice and dry and ready to be propagated. So here are the pods. You can see they're a flat pod with that ridge across, and I'll show you what they look like in the nursery. So I've just got a bucket here, so I'll get quite a few. And it's supposed to be a drier season this year, so I think just having that shade as well really has a great effect on reducing evaporation and not needing to irrigate as much as well. And you can see the size of this one. It's probably about 2 meters tall, and this has been in the ground for a couple of years now. Okay, so I've collected a few seeds and we'll go into the nursery. I did forget to mention too, now that I'm brushing past, trying to get through, when you brush past, they actually release the scent of what smells like popcorn in a cinema. So that's how they got the name popcorn senna. So quite a powerful smell. So off we go to the nursery. So now we've collected our popcorn senna seeds. Now what we need to do is shell them and get the little seeds from inside the pods. So when you're shelling them, they actually look a lot like, to me, sunflower seeds, to be honest. So there you can see the size. Now, a key step before we just put them in a pot of soil is we'll have to scarify the seeds. So what I do is I've just boiled the kettle, and when I've got enough seeds, I'm going to pour some boiling water on the seeds, and that will actually cause the seeds to swell. So you end up getting much better germination rate with the popcorn senna if you scarify them with boiling water. So there's a few techniques. You can kind of nick them with a knife, or use nail clippers as well, but to be honest, I don't have the patience to do that because the seeds are so small. I'll do that maybe with larger seeds that need scarifying. But when you're doing things like acacias, popcorn senna, I'm trying to think of other examples. Let's have a look. So this one's a good example. So in this one, there's actually bugs in this one, so I'm going to discard that one. I don't want bugs mixed in with the rest of my good seeds eating the seeds. So some of the albizzias as well, which are other nitrogen fixers, they also need scarifying. Sometimes Leukina, sometimes I'll just direct sow, sometimes I'll scarify. So it's good too. I like to just basically trial things and see what works. But in this case, I have had better results with scarifying the seed. So I'll just do this last pod, then we'll pour some boiling water on. Okay, so this is a freshly boiled kettle. I'm just pouring that on. And what I'm looking for as well is what's going to happen is the seed is going to swell. So usually I pour the boiling water on and then I just leave it overnight and then sow the seeds in the morning. So we'll just have a look and see if any of those start to swell. I'll put that aside now. And this is a good example actually, because this is one I did probably over a week ago. So I'll just zoom in so you can see here. Okay, so you can see these seeds have sprouted, and they were the seeds that actually swelled when I poured the boiling water on. Now some of the seeds didn't swell, and those, again, these have been soaking for probably a week. Those are here on the bottom, oops, and you can see there they haven't germinated at all. So that just shows you the value of scarifying your seeds before you pot them in soil. Okay, so now we've done that, I will go out to the nursery with some seeds that I'd pre-soaked the day before, and I'll show you how to pot those up. So it's a few hours later since I've poured the boiling water on the popcorn Senna seeds, and I just wanted to show you the effect that that's had. So you can see here, these are a light brown and they've started to swell. And you can see here these smaller seeds here where they haven't swelled with the boiling water treatment. So most likely those won't sprout, but these healthy plump seeds that have turned this, this brown colour are likely to strike. So now what we'll do is, again, because it's time consuming to separate out the seeds that haven't swelled with the boiling water, I'm just going to pour all of these into the potting mix and sprout them all together. So now we've ensured that some of our seeds have swelled with the boiling water treatment. What we want to do is, I just use containers that I'm likely to put in the recycling bin. So just grab a container. You just want to make sure it's reasonably deep to allow proper root development. Then what I do is I just punch some holes in the bottom just for drainage with some snips. And then I'm just going to fill it 3/4 of the way full with a sharp sand compost mixture. And usually I'll just keep a bucket at all times in the nursery because I'm always collecting seed. So just fill that up. So just like this. Then what I do is I can drain some of this water out. And then, as I mentioned, I just put all of the seeds. It just saves me separating out the ones that haven't swollen, just saves time. So I just spread those evenly as best I can. And then I just pop a thin layer of the Sharp River Sand and Compost mix on the top. And because it's spring, the night temperatures have warmed up, so these should germinate within the next couple of weeks. Sometimes if you're collecting seed in autumn, they may not come up until the springtime, till temperatures warm up. So I just kind of gently tap that in just so there's good contact of the soil with the seed. A little bit more. And then what I do is I just pop a label in and pop it in the shade house. Just make sure the soil stays damp and doesn't dry out. But you also don't want to keep it soaking wet because potentially the seeds could rot. And just to clarify too, the seeds that I had in the other glass container that I'd forgotten about that was soaking for a week, they've gone into the compost bin, so I don't bother about sowing those ones because they're no good anymore. But it was just a good demonstration just to show you the ones that had swelled sprouted whilst the other ones didn't. So once that's done, just get a label. You want to put basically the species name, so I just put popcorn Senna. It's just so you know which seeds are in there. I usually mention where I collected the seeds, so in this case it's from home, but sometimes if you find a good seed supplier online, you might want to just make a note so that you know where to order the seed from again. And then I just pop today's date. So if they don't come up, say in 3 months' time or something, I'll usually just discard that batch and start again, just so I don't have them in the nursery a year later wondering when I sowed the seed. Then I'll just show you, this is an example, this isn't the popcorn Senna, but this is the Tephrosia. So what you can see here is the seeds will start popping up like this, Okay, and when they get their second set of leaves, then you can prick them out and pot them into little pots like this. Now this is an example of a very sad, my one and only remaining popcorn Senna. So just to show you what it looks like, this one I think was left outside over the winter months, so it's hanging in there, but it's time to pot this one up. So one of the things, whilst I mentioned they are tolerant to just a light frost, when they're this size, you don't want to be planting them out when there's still the risk of frost because that can kill them off. But if you plant in spring or at the start of the wet season, they've got time to get big enough so that if you do have a frost next winter, then they're large enough to be able to survive that light frost. So what I'll do is, this one's very sad, needs some love. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pot it up. And that way I can let this one get a little bigger before I plant it out. So again, we just use that same mixture of sharp river sanded compost. I'm going to use a pot this size. And what I do is, again, I fill it probably 2/3 of the way. I just make a well in the middle that's big enough to accommodate this. So tip it upside down. I'm just doing it over my bucket here. And then pop that in. I'm just going to straighten it up a little bit. And hopefully this will make a nice comeback now that I've looked after it a bit and the temperatures are warming up. So that should grow quite quickly now and it'll be ready to put in the ground in a couple of months' time. So that's the popcorn Senna.